What's up, guys? The red light is on. No intro. It's been a long day on the in the Fight Banana studio world. So, episode 11 of Mic Cuddles, hosted by Gillian the Savage Robertson. What's up, G? You have like fight news glow smile around you right now.
Possibly
Hey.
it's a secret.
Underneath, Juliana Miller, one of our absolute favorites. We are so pumped. She's kicking ass on the TUF House right now. We're so happy to have you, Drew. How are you?
I am doing amazing. I could not be more grateful and excited to join you. Got one of my favorite fighters up there. And dude, this is going to be a good time. I'm so stoked.
I know. I'm excited. I mean, it's like, I want to talk about fighting a little bit, but I want to talk about more stuff out of fighting, I guess. I don't know. But there's just the first time when we thought we were going to have this conversation, like you guys have so many similarities. The TUF House, very jitsy background, maybe like to do some other extra activities outside of fighting. Like it just seems like you guys have a lot of mutual, common things. So, G, for someone who's kind of maybe a couple years in front of Juliana, like what would you say to her about going through the TUF House and possibility getting to the UFC and just kind of really amping the career up a little bit?
Well, I just want to start off by saying, like, with how I met Juliana. I'm like, I was legit, like, we were in the same tournament together. If I won my match, I would have had to compete against the winner of her match. So it was like a possibility we might have been facing each other. And she was competing right before me, and I was sitting there warming up, and she had the most gangster match like ever, and I was just cheering her on the whole time. Had no idea who the fuck she was. Became her biggest fan in that moment, and then we partied out in Mexico after that. I'm like, then the next week I see her out at High Rollers in Vegas competing again. I was like, oh, this girl really is a gangster. Then obviously watching that awesome fight on TUF, I'm like, just your biggest fan over here. But I guess there's nothing different than what you're doing. Like, you're already putting yourself in the competition. You're already like going out there making the moves. Like, it's the same shit on the big stage, you know? She knows what to do.
That's so funny hearing that, because like Juju, it was the same thing with me, Julian. I knew of her, like I knew of her name, right? And I met her at Icon down there in Miami the very first time. And like everyone, like, when you're talking and then like people walk away, like other people come and talk to you about the person. They're like, man, that's Juliana Miller. She's a gangster. She's about to be on TUF. She's a grappler. And then I talked to her. She actually commentated the night before. And I was like, that's funny, because it was like the week before, you and I commentated on Island Fight. So like we kind of talked about that. And then just the same thing, like just how Juliana, like, held herself and like all of that, like the whole night. And then at Icon was awesome. I was like, dude, Juliana is a gangster. She's like a real life gangster.
Thank you so much for the kind words. But Julian, man, I feel the same about you. I've been watching you fight on UFC and seeing somebody so like at such a young age get entered into such a huge world of fighting. And not only did you enter in the world, you were finishing fights with just the most slick jiu-jitsu, choking girls the F out. I'm like, honestly, I'm mind blown. I'm so grateful to be here right now. This is awesome. I'm like, both of us just sitting here completely fangirling, I feel like. I'm like, Dave, it's your turn to talk.
Okay, I'll take over. I'm pretty decent at that. So like when you watched the fight, Julian, like what did you just think? Let's kind of get into the fight of itself. It was such a sick fight. It's easily the fight of the year so far on TUF. Dana White was so pumped, wanted to meet Juliana afterwards. And I just thought that third round, the grappling that Juju put on was like just, top notch. It's 10th planet. It's crazy. So what did you just think of just her fight? And just, a lot of people thought maybe, she didn't. The first round went probably Claire's way, and then like Juju just went to another gear. That's insane, the comeback.
Honestly, my favorite moment of that whole fight wasn't even like a fighting part. It was in between the second and third round. Just the look in your eye. I'm like, oh shit, like she wants this shit. Like, I'm like, that's what I feel like shows like you're a fucking fighter. You're real. Thank you. I had no idea how intense I really was
until after the fight. One of the coaches cornering me, Coach Rick Little, was like, man, you scared me with a look in your eyes. I was like, my eyes are scaring? He's like, in between the last round they were. And I was like, man, he's playing, until I saw it live. And I was like, oh my God, I look so crazy. All I could think about was like, kill or be killed. Honestly, in my head, this was the last time that I was going to go to war. I had, you know, been on the verge of really wanting to join the military, the Navy, as a pilot. And when the TUF opportunity came, I realized, you know, it was written in the stars. Maybe I should do this and go for it. But in my head, like, I told myself, like, if I was going to die right now and the world was going to see me, how would I want to go out? And I just, like, I saw her sitting there and I saw the blood come out of her nose and I felt like a shark. Like, I was like, I couldn't hear anything the corners were saying. I couldn't stop making eye contact. Like, Juliana would try to get in front of my face to talk to me and I was like following Claire. Like, I was like, I don't think I've ever felt like so much of a hunter. But Coach Wayne Gregory, one thing he said to me before this fight, he's like, listen, now's your opportunity to show the world to earn your fight name. Are you really a killer? Let's see it. And so I went out there and, like, I was thinking, like, it's time for me to earn my fight name. I'm a hunter and I'm a killer. And I don't know exactly what came over me, but that animalistic instinct, I just, like, smelled blood and was hungry and hunting for it. It was crazy.
Like, it's so awesome how sometimes, like, I feel like coaches just know the right thing to say to you right before you make the walk-in. I'm like, honestly, for me, it's kind of the exact same thing that one of my coach, Dean Thomas, right before I walked in one time, he was like, remember why they call you a fucking savage. Like, the exact same thing for you. I like, remember why they call you a killer. It's like, I feel like a lot of it too is just like them reminding you, like, remember who the fuck you are and go in there and show the rest of the world.
I love it.
I love that. So, like, okay, you just mentioned savage, you just mentioned killer, you just threw out the nicknames. It's a big reason, why I am a huge fan of both of you guys, just the fight style and how you want to stop fights. Can you feel in a practice room, or can you feel in a training session, or do you even feel during a fight that maybe this chick across me is like, she's about it, like she wants to be in the UFC, but she's not like really about it. Like, she's not a killer. She's not a savage. Can you feel that?
I feel like absolutely. However, in the training room and in the cage is a completely different experience. I've been tapped out numerous times in the training room. In the training room, even if I don't like the person across from me, I can't fully unleash the true me like I would in a cage. Inside that cage, as soon as the door locks, it is a different feeling. You're in a new world. But however, in the training room, for instance, if we're doing live drills, a live passing drill, for instance, king of the hill, right? You want to stay king of the hill. I can tell a lot of times I end up winning being the king of the hill because I want it so bad. Like, I just want to win so bad. I have a teammate, Rima. She does so good with me, and we'll be back and forth for 5 minutes, and on the 6th minute, I get the sweep, and she's like, you wanted it more. That's the only thing. And she's like, I need to learn how to, like, reach that level mentally where you can snap into, like, I don't know how to explain the flip that is switched in certain people. I think maybe if you had a hard childhood or you've been through some traumatic situations, it's kind of like David Goggins would say, a cookie from the cookie jar. And you can reach into that and be like, oh, I've lived through worse. Let's effing go. And I think it's just something that lives inside of you. Some people are fight or flight. Some people, danger would face them and they'd run. And some people, they're going to stand there and think, well, you're going to have to kill me to get through this. So, honestly, it's hard to explain the feeling that comes over you. What do you think, G?
No, I have to agree 100% with you. It's a lot about mentality. And it's like, even you can meet some people who are absolute fucking killers in the gym, but then they can't perform. Like, you watch them fight, you're like, who is that? Like, that's not that fighter. Or there's some people, it's like, you don't understand how they perform so good, because in the gym, it's like they just don't live up to that. It's like, it's all about your mentality and if you can turn it on or not. And if you have that ability to turn it on and perform under the lights, I feel like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, so true, so true. I'm with that. A lot of people kind of have like cons about the TUF House, that, it's hard, or you can't talk to family or see family and stuff like that. But what's a pro from the TUF House that Gillian, that you went through, that you dealt with? Like, man, this has been great. Like, I really loved going through this TUF House because of this. And same question for you, Juju. Like, what's like a really big pro? It's like, oh, this was amazing going through the TUF House because of this reason.
Like, you're in a house surrounded by some of the best coaches in the world with 7-8 other girls who all want it, or I guess it was less for your group, but we had a bigger team of girls. So it's like, no matter what, it's a group of girls who all fucking want it just as bad as you do. And it's like, it's hard to find that, really, that kind of motivation, that kind of determination, and just to surround yourself with such good positive vibes in a training environment, I feel like was so unique in the TUF House.
One of my favorite things that I think some people took as a negative, but for me it could not have been more of a positive, was the seclusion that went on in there. For me, I realized that I have a lot of distractions in my life. Before going into TUF House, I had 4 jobs. I was bouncing back and forth between 4 jobs, training between 5 and 6 hours a day, trying to shove everything in on the weekend, trying to visit all my friends, dealing with media, seeing something on the media that bothered me, and then I'm in a bad mood, and then I'm going through work, and there's all these things. I didn't realize how cluttered my mind was until it was stripped from me. When I got in the TUF House, I've never been more focused in my life. I mean, you have no computer, no phone. You're not even allowed music. It's like you could hear a sad song and all of a sudden you're sad. Likewise, you could be having a bad day, hear your pump up song and you're up and booty shaking. It's such a mood shifter, but you don't have that in there. All you really have is yourself. And if you have a cool roommate, thank God I did, Hannah Guy, I love you. It's yourself. And then you're stuck with these girls that it's like, man, I want to be friends, but we're also might be trying to kill each other. So for me, I was really able to zone in on what I wanted. I was meditating every day. I was writing in my journal every day. I would go do my yoga outside. I would work on my breath work. And I really, for the first time in my life, focused only on MMA without having those jobs in the media or the men around in my life. I was able to just have this killer focus. And I'm so grateful for that experience. You know, whenever I do get the opportunity to fight next, that's something that I'm working really hard on is, first off, Dana, if you hear this, give me a bonus, man. That was fight of the season, and I know it. And it's like, with that bonus or with financial stability, I won't have to be working 4 or 5 jobs. All I'll have to do is train. If I can just focus on training, man, you just skyrocket in experience. I mean, I feel like I became twice the fighter in the TUF House in such a short amount of time because that's where my head was at. So I think that's the biggest blessing that I learned and took away from the TUF House is how powerful I can be when I'm fully focused.
Gosh,
what do you
that's
think?
That's a good answer.
What do you think is the thing that surprised you the most about the TUF House? Like, what didn't you expect going in there?
No doors. No doors. Literally, I was like, are you serious? No doors. And the bedroom that we got, I liked it because we had a massive bathrooms, and thankfully you have a bathroom on the door, but there is no doors leading into any of the bedrooms. It's like I would like open my eyes and like people could see me sleeping as they walk by. Additionally, the behind the scenes of like the camera crew, they would come by your bed and fix your mics, and like I am a light sleeper, and so like it was just so, at first it was very like traumatic to like wake up and there's somebody leaning over your bed, or you know, somebody walking by you while you're sleeping. There is sound everywhere. People would lose their fight and they're playing pool and you can just hear the crash, or the poker games and everyone's screaming. Like, I thought I was going to be able to get rest in there. Like, it completely behooves me to realize this is going to be very difficult. I ordered earplugs, and then I would sleep with headphones. Like, we weren't allowed to have like actual headphones, so I would literally put in earplugs and then 2 pillows, and I would smash myself. There's times I would move my bed into the bathroom just so I could sleep. And that was just like the most surprising thing ever.
That's so crazy.
Like, definitely zero privacy there at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's wild. Like I never really thought about that until you just said it. Like that's just a, do whatever you want, but just sometimes you just need like a moment by yourself. Like you just need to put your head down, think
There's no
about
moments
thoughts.
by yourself. I mean, you're changing your shirt and there's a camera here, there's a camera there. There was times where like I was going to go weigh in and I wanted to weigh in without my clothes on to see where I was really at, and the camera guys would be like all up in your space, where I literally had to turn around and be like, it's my time of month, sir. Like, if you want to see something that you don't want to see, please can you turn around and give me like 1 second, please? And still they wouldn't go away. I had to have Hannah hold a towel for me. Like, there is no such thing as privacy whatsoever.
When I was in the TUF House, I actually got food poisoning. It was like the week of that I was supposed to fight. But when I came back from the hospital, I just felt like sick as anything. And I remember they came up to me and had the camera like right in my face. And that was probably the worst thing. I was just sick as anything, just wanting to go to bed. And they're sitting there just following me to bed with the camera in my face.
I honestly, there was a few times that I was accidentally a little too mean to the camera guys, and I had to tell them, you know, I apologize after, but absolutely no privacy is just such a hard thing to deal with. I mean, at the time, I was living alone. Like, I did not have any roommates. I lived alone, and I was just like completely unprepared. I was just, I was pretty shook quite often.
Dude, that was a veteran UFC champion type of move. You're outside, you got the beautiful background. Looks like the battery is low on the cell phone, and then we go inside, we do the charger. That's high level. That's Valentina Shevchenko stuff right there. All right.
Yeah, I can't leave you guys hanging.
Talk about that. What'd you guys, UFC 275? Juju, you hear us?
Yes, I do.
Okay. UFC 275 just happened. 2 humongous female fights. Joanna retiring, one of the greatest strawweight fighters of all time. And of course, Valentina defending her championship versus Santos, who Julian might know a little bit. I don't know. Maybe there's a mark on Gillian because of Santos. What did you guys think of those fights?
I don't know if I'd still call Valentina the champion in my eyes.
Woo! There we go. Okay. You had Santos 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, I think the only round that was up for debate for me was round 2. Round 2, I feel like Santos was on top, but neither one of them were really working too much. So it's like, I could see it, like Valentina was throwing strikes from the bottom and like trying to throw up submissions. So I can kind of see why they would give it to her. But still, in my mind, I think Santos won that round. So it's like, I feel like Santos won 3 rounds. And I expected the belt to be changing hands that night.
Wow. How about you, Juju?
I completely agree with Gillian on this. However, I know that when somebody has been reigning for so long, you have to do something extremely definitive. So in my opinion, in that last round where the coach was like, listen, there's 1 round to win this belt. She needed to make sure that once she got Valentina down, she did not get back up and she was causing damage. That last takedown at the end of the round, this is something that's quite unfair, but I seem to have experienced a lot in MMA. Whatever happens in the last 30 seconds, the judges seem to remember because they haven't actually fought before. So if you're winning a round, the first half of the round, and then there's a minute left, you get taken down and dominated, they're like, oh, well, she won that round because it's fresh in their mind. I don't think that this is fair. I don't think this is right, but it's just the way that the things go in MMA quite often than not. So as soon as Valentina landed that takedown, I knew that she wasn't going to win the fight. However, I feel that Talia did enough. That being said, I feel like her corner kind of messed up in a way because genuinely, if there's a headbutt, for instance, what happened with Kevin Holland, he got headbutted, his lip got split open, and they stopped the fight and they went to the scorecards. When there was a headbutt that went on and her orbital was clearly broken, they should have been like, listen, her eye is broken, she's blind, call in the refs. They should have said, call in the doctors. Nope, we're not having this fight. It was an illegal, accidental headbutt. Let's go to the scorecards. If they went to the scorecards when the headbutt happened, Talia would have won that fight. So that's something that, like, your coaches, it's super important that they're going to stick up for you, because it's like, it's the truth. Like, that headbutt completely changed the course of the fight. If she wasn't blind
1000%.
that last round, she would have won. So that was a huge mistake. And I know probably for the coaches, they're like, dude, I don't want to be that asshole guy, but it's like, it's not fair. And it's not like that happened on purpose, but when accidents happen, when eyes gets gouged, when your lip gets split open, that's what should happen. It should go to the judges' scorecards and the fight should be over. So I think her coaches made a mistake on that one.
No, I'm like, I've never even like thought of it in that
I
way.
know.
Like, that's why I'm like just mind blown, because I didn't even like think of that perspective.
Juju, same fucking. I literally talk into a microphone for a living, and I listen to all the other MMA shows and medias, and that night Dana White and John Anik and all this stuff. I've never fucking heard that. Like, that never came to mind. I've never heard that on any other show. I cannot wait to cut that up. We're posting that. Like, you're so right. It's the orbital bone. To me, after that accident headbutt, like the fight changed. The fight went 65-35 Valentina afterwards.
Okay, I'm like, honestly, I was just thinking, being Tyla in that situation, being blinded towards Valentina's power side, that must be a terrifying fight from that moment on. Like, you have no idea what is coming from that side.
Ask Jessica I.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. Wow, Juju going to be a UFC analyst in 6 years, 7 years. I love this. What did you guys think of Joanna? Wei Li is so fucking good. Rose Namajunas, one of the best, and she just does not have her number. Other than Rose Namajunas, Zhang Wei Li's a fucking monster. She's just a tank. Just very emotional. It's very weird. Like, I thought Joanna was great about it. Gillian, I know you guys were at ATT at one time together and all that stuff. What did you think of, Joanna Champion retiring?
So it's like, when I trained at ATT for a while before Joanna got there. So it's like, I was in the UFC. I'd been around the scene, I'd seen like all the big UFC names. Like, I've seen all the people. And like, still when Joanna walked in the room, I was like, oh my God, that's Joanna. Like 100% starstruck. Like, she was just such a monster. Like, I still like the greatest strawweight of all time, hands down at this moment. Like, there's nobody who can hold a torch to her. Like, she was on a tear of a next level, just beyond her time, whenever she is the strawweight queen. That's it.
I feel like that spinning back fist was beautifully timed, but part of it was tough because although it wasn't a legal strike, the back of her hand literally hit Joanna in the back of the head. And it was like, oh, it's one of those times where I was like, man, if that had hit her on any legal part, I don't think that she would have gone unconscious like that. But then it's still a legal strike because the forearm did hit part before her fist wrapped around to the back of the head. So, it's just like, I love Joanna. I think that she's so badass. And my heart was slightly broken the way that her career ended. However, I'm so grateful for everything that she's done for women in the sport. And man, Wei Li, what a savage. Just not at all scared to be in the fire throwing down like that. Like, when I see women go to war like that, it really makes me rethink, like, okay, I signed up for this. Like, I guess let's go bite down on that mouthpiece and, let's take a ride. But I loved the way that Joanna left the sport. I love the way she carries herself. I love that she's like, man, I want to live my life now, because that's one thing that people really don't talk about enough is fight camp. Unless you've ever fought, it's really difficult to understand that your whole life is almost like survival. It's like, you have to be so disciplined on every bite of food. Every second of your time is for this one moment. And win or lose, you just spent the last 3 months of your life pretty much displaced from regular life. I mean, you're not going to your nephew's birthday parties. You're not getting to see your grandparents every day. You don't get to go out with your friends. And I'm just so grateful that she could finally live her life. She could be in movies. She can travel and do all the fun things. And, it was really inspiring.
For like you said about Wei Li going in there, I don't think enough people are talking about how smart she approached that fight. I'm like, someone like Joanna, who nobody gets up better than her. Like, nobody's just going to take her down and hold her down and it's going to be easy. So it's like Weili didn't even focus on that. She went in there, took her down, and just started punching her in the face. Wasn't trying to hold her down, wasn't trying like commit to the, like, we need to wrestle, we need to play jujitsu. She was like, nah, this is MMA. I'm just going to hit you. And then, like, by the third or fourth time Weili took her down, Joanna was like, I don't even want to get up anymore because I know you're just going to hit me. So it's like Joanna just completely succumbed to the takedown. And then it was like just such a beautiful game plan on Weili's part. I feel like probably one of the smartest and well-executed game plans of the night.
Agreed.
Look at that. Look at the media cap on Gillian the Savage Robertson. Gee whiz, just taking over. I've asked this question to Gillian. Me and her have talked probably over 100 times on shows and podcasts of that nature. But I would love your take on this, Juju. And then just maybe, Gillian, maybe your answer has changed at all. I'm not too sure. If in a magic world, the grappling circuits, all these submission undergrounds and all these shows and high rollers and all this stuff and the Mexico, right? All that stuff. If they said, hey, Juliana, we're going to give you $300,000 this year. We're going to pay you $300K. We want you to be a grappler. You have to quit MMA. Don't go into the UFC. We just want you to be a full-time grappler and be all these shows. Do you do it? Do you become a full-time grappler?
Not at all, because for me right now, I think the most important thing that I'm doing is I'm building a platform for my name. The UFC really gives you a platform where people get to know you. More than being just a grappler or just a fighter, I want to use my platform to help change the world in ways. I really believe that more children should be learning self-defense. And maybe if I had learned self-defense at a young age, I would have built more confidence and I would have had the strength to protect myself, so I wouldn't have been so traumatized. I think there's a lot of pain in this world that comes from people just not being educated on the fact that you can stand up for yourself or how to do it. So right now, the most important thing for me is building that platform so I can make a difference. I mean, the $300,000 doesn't matter. I love jiu-jitsu. I'm going to do jiu-jitsu till I die. When it comes to money, that's not the biggest thing that I'm looking for. I'm trying to use my voice and create something great with it. So, combat jiu-jitsu is amazing. I love slapping girls in the face, and even the booty bongo is fun. They're going for your knees. You just get to slap that ass. It's a good time. But you can create so much more with UFC. So that is still my goal, regardless of the payment or the outcome or whatever is to be created. I'm here for it. I'm ready.
I love it. Same, Gillian, your UFC flyweight champion 2024.
I like punching girls in the face too much. I'm like, there's no way I could not. I like just stick to jujitsu. I'm like, there's something different about, like, even like my jujitsu is so like, I feel like MMA oriented. Like, I'm looking to do strikes and do damage and then get a submission. It's like, I feel like I'm not even as good at just jujitsu anymore. I love the ground and pound aspect of it. And it's like, even though jujitsu is my thing, it wouldn't be the same without punching someone.
I love it, man. This has been so good. We're almost at our sweet 30-minute mark. We'll let you roll. Juju, we would love to have you on again. This has been so good. It just flew by. We didn't even get to all the kind of topics I want to talk to. Is there any last thing you want to say, promote, shout out, anything of that nature you want to get off?
I would love to give a shout out to everybody at 10th Planet San Diego, specifically my coaches, Manolo Hernandez, Richie Martinez, and Bill Crawford, as well as all my coaches from the Ultimate Fighter. Coach Rick Little, he was the first person in there to believe in me. He was like, this girl, she's going to be the one to do it. Thank you so much for your belief in me. Wayne Gregory, Mike Vallet, and of course the champ, Juliana Pena. I cannot wait to see her go out there and demolish. I truly believe that she's going to defend that title. And of course, you guys, man, I'm so grateful for getting to talk to you, Gillian. I hope we get to train soon. And thank you for having me on the show. What an exciting time.
Oh, thank you so much. I was so hyped when David told me that you were going to be able to come on here. So thank you so much for being our second guest ever.
All the love.
Real quick, so a funny story. So Sunday, Gillian knows this. So Taylor Starling came in Sunday night. Orlando, they had a a sign-in, like a meet and greet and sign in. All these MMA fighters and wrestlers came into a room. It was at Dave & Buster's in Orlando. Amanda Nunes was one of the fighters that was there. So Taylor Starlin had like some back history with Amanda. So they kind of talked a little bit. So we were talking and it was just so funny. So I had to, I go, so, just like, how's camp going? Are you ready for Juliana this time? What's going to be different? And she was just like, yeah, it's different. I'm going to win the title. I'm going to win the title. She said that multiple times. And I'm like, okay. All right.
Man, all respect to Amanda Nunes. I actually be friends with her in the Ultimate Fighter House. We like each other's stuff on Instagram. I still think that she's the greatest of all time. However, I have felt Juliana's power and I see how she trains. Her work ethic is second to none. I've never seen anyone be so disciplined and focused. I mean, you cannot even crack a smile out of Juliana while training. Like, it's all fun and games or whatever. The second you're in that room, she's like she will kill you. You genuinely feel like, oh my God, like this different energy comes across her and it's so intense. And, I don't think Amanda really believes, she's like, oh, I gave up or whatever. But, I truly believe Juliana made her quit and she's got the mentality to do it again. I mean, I would not want to face her ever in my life. I love them both, but it's going to be a war. Greatest female fight of all time on the way for sure.
Wow, I cannot wait. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Juliana Miller. Cannot wait. Next episode, The Ultimate Fighter, Hannah Guy finally gets in the cage. We are so excited. We're huge fans and friends of Hannah Guy. Hopefully something soon on the horizon for the Savage one, Gillian Robertson. And Juliana, maybe after your next fight, maybe you can come back on again and we can have another chat.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll be a really exciting one about what's to come.
Sounds good. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Episode 11 of Mic Cuddles. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.